Hey guys, so today I'm going to be giving you an in-depth Skye guide. This is my first non-duelist agent guide. If you guys would like more like this, give me a specific agent in the comments below. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the guide. So I have 5 in-depth ability tips to master Skye. The first tip is use your dog as an additional person. Also just understand the value of Skye's dog, right? So you can think of Skye's dog kind of like a silver drone. There are some distinct differences between the two, but generally it's kind of the same idea. You're really going to be doing it to help your team entry and help your team get information. It's also really important to communicate to your team when you want to use this and how you want to use it. So for example, if we're starting A side on split, I might say to my team, hey team, I'm gonna dog a ramp, can you guys follow it? And then one difference between this and the drone is that you have a shorter field of vision. You see I can't see very far, but you do want to clear all the corners. So you might look close right here, you want to clear left side here, and then also at the very end you can jump for a little bit of extra distance. I'll go ahead and do this one more time. You can see the bar at the bottom, the red bar. Now I might clear these corners, clear these. You're going to see I'm going to jump at the very end just to get that maximum distance, right? If you don't see anyone, just jump. But ideally, you want to ask your teammate to follow the dog so that you can actually trade the dog. You can think of the dog as a 6th person on your team, which is really nice because you can actually trade the 6th person, which isn't actually a person, for an actual enemy life, which is very valuable because then it becomes a 5v4 for just an ability. So again, make sure you're communicating that. Make sure you're asking your teammates to help you follow up with the dog. And also think of just using it on, it's really good for entering on attack obviously, but also just on defense to help your team kind of, you know, feel out where the enemies actually are. You don't want to use it at the very start of the round, probably later in the round on defense, and just trying to, you know, get a feel of where enemies are at. And yeah, so it's more important for kind of info on defense, but on attack it's really good for actually trading. And this can also be good for retaking on defense. So the next tip is understand different ways of flashing. So there's actually, I have 3 different types of flashing, but there's probably more because I'm not like a Skye expert or anything. But one type of Skye flash you can do is simply just a pop flash. So you want to kind of flash behind wherever you're going to want to go. So if I want to run out here and peek towards sight, I'll flash this way like this and then peek like that, right? So the cool thing about this is you're not going to get flashed, and you also want to wait for a second, right? Because you don't want to flash, you don't want to be peeking before the flash pops, because then enemies can still see you. So you can run up like this, and then after it pops, then you're peeking, right? So the cool thing about this is you can very quickly get a kill. You can also do this. This might not be the best example of where to do it at, like something like that. I've seen Skye players flash like directly above their head, and it doesn't actually flash them. So something like that maybe, but again, be careful you're not exposing yourself before the flash actually pops. The next type of flash is kind of for info. You can throw like a deep flash for information, or it doesn't even have to be that deep really. You can just kind of throw it like this maybe. You can also see your flash on the minimap, by the way. So if I want to see if there's someone in heaven or like vents like this, you can see on the minimap, bang, that would flash both those areas. I can even flash deeper like this. See if there's someone deep heaven, and pretty much whenever Skye flash explodes, it'll make a loud noise if someone is nearby, letting you know that your flash is actually your bird has actually flashed someone. So you know you can tell your teammate, okay, there's at least one B or a heaven, or wherever you flash. So you flashed out sight. You can also flash quite high because Skye birds, you know, it's quite good at flying like that. So keep that in mind as well. So the last way to flash that my Discord members actually let me know about is a fake flash. So this can actually be very useful. It's probably something you don't think about too much if you're lower ranked on Skye. You can actually just throw the flash, like you could imagine someone standing right here. You can just throw a flash like this and then just swing on them, because this person's instinct is going to be, oh, I should look away. But you know, how long are they going to look away? They're probably going to look away until they hear the Skye flash explode. So they're going to be turning around for like a second. So by the time that, you know, they're turning back around, you could just swing on them and kill them for free. And this is something you don't want to do all the time. Probably try to do it in different areas because, you know, people will start to predict you're doing this. But this can be very strong. You can also do it for like anywhere pretty much. So I'm going to go ahead and go to mid for these next few tips. But anyways, the next tip is play for heal when you can. So understand that you are an initiator and your primary job is not to be super aggressive. You kind of want to help your duelists get in, but you also have heal, which is, you know, very good for helping your team regroup and kind of get ready to take a second fight if you guys need to. So for example, if I'm pushing up here with my jett, I want to flash here like this maybe, or maybe like this, and then we're pushing in, but she dies. The next best step might not be to actually like push in here, because you know, say my teammates over like A and they're calling for me to heal them. You want to understand that healing here is probably a pretty good idea to do for your team instead of just pushing in and risking dying. If your Jett actually gets a kill, then you know you can heal her instead. But another thing about heal is that there's a big radius. It heals people in direct line of sight, and it heals for a total of 100 HP. So keep that in mind. It's pretty good. I think it's a little bit more than a Sage heal. I don't think Sage heal does 100, but still, you can heal multiple teammates as well, which is pretty nice. You cannot heal yourself, so keep that in mind. I think that's a good kind of addition, because Skye would probably play more selfishly if that was a thing. But fourth tip is use your ult ASAP and follow it with your team. So I'm in a custom game by myself, so I can't really emphasize this, but literally if you just pop the ult instantly, you're gonna say, okay team, like as soon as the round starts, I'm gonna ult mid and we can follow it and trade it. It's kind of like, so whenever you pop this, there's 3 seekers that come out and it goes to the 3 most nearby enemies. So this is really good because it's basically like 3 dogs, and that's quite a nice thing to have. And you can kind of just follow them and trade them. You can also use, so like say it's going that way, you can flash like this if you think there's one there, or if the seeker's like going quicker, because it'll make a noise as well whenever it's getting closer to an enemy. And it's really good for just opening up areas, getting information, and even just taking sites entirely. So yeah, again, try to use it ASAP, because if you don't, then you're just going to be holding it, and as soon as you use it, you have a chance to start recharging it again, or you will start recharging it again. But yeah, without further ado, the final tip is develop a unique playstyle for, like, depending on how you play individually as a person, because as an initiator, you can play either more aggressively or a little more passively. Skye has that kind of potential, because again, she does have her heal, which means you can play a little more passive. You have the dog, which also allows you to play a little more passive, because whenever you're dogging, you're not really pushing in, you're kind of doing that with the dog. But you can also play aggressively with the flash, right? You can, you know, you can push in with the flash, you can push in with the ult, but at the end of the day, you probably want to find a balance between these two things. Playing super aggressive and playing super passive alone aren't the best thing. You want to find a nice balance depending on what your team lacks and what your team excels in. So if you have a lot of duelists, try to take on a more passive role, but overall try to think about and figure what your playstyle might be, right? Because this is going to be very, very important to figure out as you continue to rank up and improve at Valorant. So again, guys, if you have any other tips, questions about this video or anything like that, leave it in the comments below. But without further ado, I will see you guys in the next one. Subscribe and peace.